Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, organics of all ages. I'm Double R, and in this video we're going to talk about how originality dies. It's been dying for a while, let's be honest. In fact, I got a video coming out on November 8th, I think, 2019. I had to put a year up here because if I don't... I'm watching this on January 3rd, 2020. Where I gotta wait all the way until November? Get out of here! November 8th, 2019. In one of my master classes of dealing with character creation and whatnot, I point out why originality is dying. Mainly it's because of corporations. Corporation owns the creator makes the IP. Well, the IP belongs to the company because the creator made that IP under the banner of the corporation. So the corporation owns it, boom, done. I go into more detail with this with George Lucas and Star Wars, but let's not worry about that right now. And in fact, if it's the video I think it is, I go in that pretty good, but if it doesn't have that in there, I'll make a follow-up to go into that into a little bit of detail. Now, let's move on. Let's go ahead and start with the original IP, and I will use Rotten Tomatoes for a barometer. This is the definition of the word barometer, by the way. There you go. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. You always learn something new on this channel, don't you? Ha-ha! Sorry. Anyway, point being, using Rotten Tomatoes as the barometer, we're going to bring up an original IP. Gemini Man. Don't you dare do that joke! So, Gemini Man is an original IP from Will Smith, where he got a director and they talked about it and they worked on it. And as you can see by the critic score, it's Now, what I did with this critic score, I kind of screenshot it and sent it to Clownfish TV. By the way, follow Clownfish TV. They're doing good work. They're trying to get 100,000 subscribers. Again, they do good work. They do news, views, rants on pop culture and media. Something like that. They actually do it really better. They do it really good because it's their opening. Anyway, point being, go follow them. Again, just because I disagree with somebody once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever amount of times I disagree with them, doesn't mean I'm going to outright go, I'm going to no longer follow them. No. It's called being an adult, folks. People have difference of opinion. Let's go back to point. I sent a screenshot of the Rotten Tomatoes score of Gemini Man to Clownfish TV. They said, yeah, they don't care. And in so many words, they don't care because it looked boring. To be fair, sure it did look boring, which actually holds the barometer. Just keep that in mind. But the movie everyone wants to talk about, the movie on everyone's lips, is, of course, an established IP. A movie that has a legacy behind it. A movie that has existed for a while. A brand, if you will. And that movie is Terminator, Dark Fate. Here's reviews. Yes, its critical score is higher than the Joker, and yes, its audience score is barely higher than Gemini Man. Wait, that would mean that the audiences find the same level of enjoyment from Gemini Man as they do from Terminator Dark Fate. So an original property versus an existing property can hold a similar score. So why is originality dying? Well, there's something called the appropriation score that you have to take into effect as well. The appropriation theory, here's the card, it's pretty much straightforward. One person has a script, company says, nah, you use existing IP to dress up said script, and we'll sell it that way. The reason why I'm using the She-Ra reboot as an example is because that is pretty much a solid embodiment of it. Noelle Stevenson was on Tumblr. She made stuff on Tumblr. Netflix said we like the way she does things. They picked her up. They said, hey, you're going to do a reboot of She-Ra. She said, nah, I want to do this story. And Netflix went, maybe you didn't hear us. You're going to do the reboot of She-Ra. Noelle tries to make a stand against them and goes, okay, fine. If I do the reboot of She-Ra, I'm going to use my story in that reboot. And they went, sure, go ahead. And now we got the rebooted She-Ra. This has happened before, many, many times. One of such times happens to be Chun-Li, the movie of Chun-Li, where you literally take a basic Kung Fu script, scratch out some names, put in the new names of the existing IP, and change very little to get that point across. This is why Major Bison, M. Bison, or Vega if you're in Japan, why he went from a world aspiring dictator, he wanted to take over the entire world, to a real estate mogul. You know, if that came out nowadays, people would say that was just a parallel Trump. Just saying. I go over the whole political rant, but don't care. Don't care. Why did I bring up the appropriation theory all of a sudden? Well, let's take a look at Joker. Some of you have probably seen where I'm going with this, but for those of you who aren't, I'm going to spell it out pretty soon. Where Noelle Stevenson had that issue with Netflix and wound up doing a rebooted version of She-Ra, so too did the creator of this movie. He had a script written, it was all good and gravy, he brought it up, he set it down and said, hey, I want to make this movie. The company looked at it and went, no. Because you see, superheroes
so hot right now.
So if you can somehow convert this script into a superhero or supervillain origin, then we can push it. We can get it out there. We will be more than happy to help produce it. So what does our little writer do? He looks at it, goes through their catalog of what they have as IPs, flip, 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 flip. Oh, in this series here, Joker would fit the best. And that's why it got a reimagined reboot of Joker's origin story. Because him being an actual writer, he was able to piecemeal what he needed to piecemeal. He was able to bring them together, merge it, and make it clean and smooth. It kept his story out there. It kept the Joker character in general intact. In general. But it's a reimagined reboot, if you will. An alternate universe. Hey, role players! Surprise! Idiots. Moving on. So after the movie did so well, now that company's going to be thinking, hey, original scripts aren't so bad if we dress them up. You know, like what Marvel thought they were doing. So why did I bring all this up? Well, like I said, Clownfish TV told me that Gemini Man didn't interest him. It was boring. It has no safety net. While everyone still talks about Terminator, while everyone still blasts and or praises Terminator, most of the people are actually blasting the shit out of it. But while people are going off against that, still going after it. Still going after it. Non-stop. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, including leap year. While they're still doing all that, you notice Gemini Man quietly died in silence. It's a fitting metaphor for originality versus the established IP. Original concept, original idea came up. Trailer did poorly. It did about the same as Terminator in terms of how people viewed it, and it just went away. It died off quietly. No sequel for you. You are an established IP. You mean nothing. But this established IP, and it failed. Because we've never seen failure on this level before, at least for Terminator. We've seen it before in terms of, say, Star Wars with The Last Jedi. Hey, Disney. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But as you can tell, an existing IP, even if it does poorly, will still be talked about. An original IP, doing about the same distance, having about the same score on audience scores for Rotten Tomatoes, still about the same parallel, forgotten about. Why? Because it has no safety net if the trailer does poorly. If you put a new character in a comic, you have to make sure you implement them properly, or else they just disappear and vanish. Like Thor Girl. You see what happens with originality, right? In terms of movies, that's why we don't get any real original movies anymore. It's usually a reboot, a rehash. Why? Because when something original comes out, if the trailer doesn't get your attention right off the bat, if they fail at the trailer, you're not going to go see it. It's going to be boring. And even if you found the Terminator trailer boring, you'd go and see it. You would go and see what's going on with that, or you'd wait until someone went to go see it and say if it was good or bad. Because you know someone is going to go see it because it's part of a pedigree. It has an established IP. It's known. It's existed for a while. And there's your answer, ladies and gentlemen. That is why originality dies. It cannot make an error. It has to hit everything on full cylinders, 100%, from start to finish. It cannot take a chance of having a safety net because it does not have one. Especially nowadays in current year. Which is actually kind of funny when you look at Gemini Man, because Gemini Man has a person of color lead, person of color antagonist, person of color director, and yet it's off in La La Land. Then again, so is Maleficent, but they have a woman lead, so... Then again, she doesn't really show up until later in the movie, so... Brought it to yourself again, Disney! Disney doing just as well as an original IP. With an established IP. Mind-blowing. But again, that is why originality dies. Even though an established IP can fail, it has its foothold. It has an advantage. It can succeed if the movie does well. If you do a good enough trailer, people will go see it. If the trailer fails, it doesn't matter because the existing IP of it, the existing power of it, its pedigree, will carry it to where some people are going to go see it anyway. Versus Gemini Man. The trailer was boring. Clownfish TV said, yep, it's boring, don't care. Not my thing. Again, fair. It was a boring trailer. Not lying. Movie, again, fair. Kind of slow. Not gonna lie. But it goes off and it dies. Why? Couldn't grab anyone from the start. Terminator, Maleficent. Great examples of, we have a pedigree, doesn't matter what our trailer does. So there you go. To answer your question, that is why. Now in terms of roleplay, it's a whole nother kettle of fish, and we'll be doing that video at a later time. So until then, I'm Double R. I'm out. Y'all have fun. Again, go subscribe to Clownfish TV. They actually do very good work on a lot of things. Just saying. Again, just because I disagree on some facts doesn't mean I'm going to be... So y'all go and have fun. I'm going to go have fun. I got stuff to edit, apparently. So, until then, until next video, I'm Double R. I'm out. And, if I was any good with After Effects, this would be easy. But no! Anyway, have a good day. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to walk.